What stress reveals about leaders' stress isn't the enemy, it's the revealer. When pressure shows up, when the ground beneath you feels shaky, the deadlines pile up, the expectations get heavy, and the people around you start looking to you for answers. That's not the moment when leadership begins. That's the moment when true leadership is exposed. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems, your mindset, and your emotional strength. Think about it. Anyone can smile when life is easy. Anyone can motivate others when there's no real fire to put out. But what happens when everything gets loud? When the inner voices of doubt, fear, and frustration start to scream louder than your vision? That's when your real character steps forward. Stress doesn't break leaders. It reveals the leaders who have already broken inside, long before the world ever noticed. The cracks were already there, stress just exposed them. But here's the good news, those cracks, they're not the end, they're the invitation. They tell you exactly where you need to grow. Every powerful leader you admire, whether it's a business titan, a spiritual guide, or a transformational coach like Tony Robbins, has had to face their own chaos. They've walked through sleepless nights, battled inner storms, and kept moving forward even when nothing seemed to make sense. The difference isn't that they're fearless. It's that they trained their minds to lead when fear knocked on the door. Leaders who thrive under stress don't rely on luck. They rely on clarity. They know who they are. They've done the inner work. They've questioned their identity, rewired their beliefs, and built unshakable routines that hold them steady in the storm. And more importantly, they don't run from discomfort. They lean into it, because they understand this core truth. Growth only lives on the other side of resistance. When life squeezes you, what comes out is what's already inside. So the real question is, what have you been planting in there? Have you filled yourself with fear, comparison, and chaos? Or have you been intentionally cultivating focus, calm, and courage? Leadership under stress isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more. It's about standing tall when your legs want to give out. It's about breathing deeply when everything inside wants to panic. It's about reminding yourself over and over again that storms don't last forever, but your response to them shapes who you become long after the clouds clear. If you're feeling overwhelmed right now, that's not a signal that you're weak. It's a signal that something greater is being called out of you. Your next level of leadership isn't born in moments of comfort. It's forged in fire. In the tension, in the stretching, that's where transformation happens. So take a moment right now to decide, when the pressure comes, and it will, who are you going to be? Will you let stress own your decisions, your energy, your emotions? Or will you become the kind of leader who uses stress as a signal to step up, not shut down? This is the beginning of your shift, the beginning of your redefinition. Every great leader had to cross this same threshold. They had to look at their fears straight in the eye and say, I will not bow to this. I was made for more. You were made for more, and starting today, we're going to show you exactly how to step into that. The default vs. the developed mindset. When life throws curveballs, most people fall back into their default mindset, the automatic thoughts and emotional reactions they've built up over time. That mindset might be defensive, reactive, anxious, or even paralyzed by fear. It wasn't chosen. It was inherited, absorbed, or constructed unconsciously through past experiences. But here's what separates average from exceptional. Leaders recognize the default mindset and choose to develop a new one. The default mindset is like an old operating system. It works just enough to get by, but it can't handle the demands of a fast-changing, high-pressure life. When the pressure is on, that old mindset starts to glitch. You get overwhelmed, shut down emotionally, or lash out. And that's exactly when a leader makes a choice. Do I default or do I upgrade? Developing a mindset doesn't happen in a single moment of motivation. It's not a quote you read or a speech that fired you up for a day. It's daily mental conditioning. Leaders train their thoughts the same way athletes train their bodies. They ask better questions in moments of stress. Instead of "why is this happening to me?" they ask "what is this trying to teach me?" Instead of saying "I can't handle this," they say "this is exactly what I need to grow." The developed mindset starts with awareness. You must first recognize when your old programming is in control. Maybe your first instinct is to shut down or escape responsibility. That's okay. Acknowledge it. Awareness is power. Then comes the choice. Breathe, pause, and choose a new response. One that's based on values, vision, and leadership, not just emotion. Every time you choose to think differently under pressure, you lay another brick in the foundation of your leadership, and over time, those bricks become unshakable. People begin to notice your stability. Your family looks to you. Your team leans on you. Not because you have all the answers, but because your mindset is no longer reactive. It's intentional. And here's the secret. The developed mindset doesn't make stress disappear. It just changes what stress means. It becomes a training ground instead of a threat. It becomes fuel instead of fear. It transforms leadership from something you do into something you are. So ask yourself today, am I operating from default or development? That one shift will define how far you go, how deeply you lead, and how powerfully you respond when the storms come. How great leaders reframe chaos. It's uncomfortable, unpredictable, and unavoidable. But it's also the birthplace of innovation, transformation, and true leadership. Great leaders don't run from chaos. They reframe it. They change the story they tell themselves about it, and by doing so, they change what becomes possible. In moments of stress, most people think this is bad, or this means I'm failing. Leaders ask, how can this serve me? What is the opportunity hidden inside this challenge? That mental reframe doesn't make the chaos go away. It changes how they see it, which changes how they respond. Chaos isn't the problem, your interpretation of it is. The brain wants certainty, it craves control, but leaders teach their minds to find calm in uncertainty. Instead of spiraling, they zoom out. They shift from what now to what next. They stop reacting and start creating. Take any great leader from history or modern times. You'll find one consistent pattern. They reframe adversity as purpose. They look at obstacles as building blocks, not barricades. And they train their teams to do the same. This mental agility, this ability to pivot emotionally and mentally, is a core leadership skill. Reframing chaos also means you stop taking things personally. You stop assuming the universe is against you. Instead, you choose meaning. This is hard, but it's shaping me. This challenge is exactly what I needed to level up. That shift creates power. Reframing isn't delusion. It's leadership. It's choosing to see differently so you can lead differently. It's building the muscle of optimism and strategy in the face of discomfort. And that mindset doesn't just help you survive chaos, it positions you to thrive through it, to turn it into your advantage and to lead others through it with grace. Rituals and routines that anchor resilience leaders don't wait for motivation to act. They use rituals to stay consistent, focused, and emotionally grounded no matter what life throws at them. In times of stress, the brain craves safety and structure. That's where rituals and routines become non-negotiable. They give leaders control over the controllables. Whether it's a morning practice, journaling, breathwork, or movement, great leaders build rituals that remind them of who they are, even when the world gets loud. These routines don't need to be complex. In fact, the simpler, the better. What matters is consistency, showing up for yourself, especially when everything else feels chaotic, builds internal trust and external confidence. Daily rituals are where resilience is born, because stress is cumulative, and so is your preparation for it. Think of rituals like armor. not to keep pain out, but to keep clarity in. When you take 10 minutes to center yourself each morning, you're not just practicing calm, you're programming your nervous system to lead with strength. Routines create freedom. They free your mind from clutter and your heart from decision fatigue. The more you automate positive habits, the more energy you have to deal with the unpredictable. And in leadership, energy is everything. Even something as simple as reviewing your goals, visualizing your ideal day, or setting an intention each morning can shift your entire emotional state. It sets the tone, and that tone echoes through every conversation, every decision, every action. Leaders anchor themselves before they lead others. They start the day on purpose. They train their bodies to move, their minds to focus, and their emotions to stabilize. It's not about being perfect, it's about being ready. So if life feels like a storm, ask yourself, what are your anchors? What daily rituals remind you of your power? Build those, protect those, because your leadership will never rise higher than the systems that support it. Communication under pressure. Great leaders don't just react when things go wrong. They respond, and that difference often shows up most clearly in how they communicate under pressure. Anyone can speak with clarity in calm moments. But leadership is tested in chaos, when voices rise, tempers flare, and everyone is looking for direction. In those moments, communication isn't just about words, it's about energy, it's about presence. It's about whether people feel your calm more than they feel their fear. Leaders regulate themselves before they try to regulate others. They take a breath before they speak. They anchor their voice in certainty and compassion. Pressure doesn't justify aggression, it demands alignment. True leaders listen deeply, even when their own stress is high. They resist the urge to interrupt. They validate emotion without being ruled by it. They hold the space for solutions to emerge, even when everything feels urgent. Clarity is kindness, and under pressure, clarity often comes from slowing down, not speeding up. Great leaders ask powerful questions. They summarize points to avoid misunderstanding, they repeat the vision, they simplify action steps, and they check for alignment. Again and again, it's also about body language, eye contact, posture, facial expression. These cues speak louder than any script. A grounded leader silently says, "We're okay, we've got this." That stability calms the room. It invites collaboration. It allows others to breathe. Leaders don't need to have every answer, but they must model the tone of the culture they want to see. That starts with how they communicate when things are messy. The more stressed you are, the more intentional your words must become. Words can escalate or de-escalate, empower or discourage, build trust or break it. Use them like tools, not weapons. When people are afraid, they need your ears more than your advice. When people are lost, they need your direction more than your demands. And when people are hurting, they need your empathy more than your expertise. Your voice under pressure can either be a trigger or a turning point. Long-term vision in short-term storms. The greatest leaders don't lose sight of the long game during short-term chaos. When life gets stressful, many people zoom in. They become reactive, focused only on surviving the next hour, the next decision, the next fire to put out. But visionary leaders zoom out. They remember the mission. Holding long-term vision in a short-term storm is hard. It requires discipline, perspective, and deep emotional regulation. But it's what separates those who maintain from those who multiply their impact. Because anyone can lead when the skies are clear. The true test is, can you keep your eyes on the horizon when the waves are crashing? Leaders with long-term vision ask different questions. Not just, how do we fix this now? But how does this challenge move us forward in the bigger picture? They look for seeds of opportunity inside the soil of chaos. They understand that every storm can shape the character, direction, and wisdom of a mission if stewarded well. Stress tricks the mind into narrowing focus. But leadership calls us to stretch, to take a breath and remind ourselves, this moment is not the whole story, this emotion is not the full picture, this setback is not the end. Great leaders don't let urgency hijack their values. They stay aligned to the why, even when the how gets messy. They revisit the vision, repeat the mission, and remind others of what truly matters. The long view gives strength. It creates patience. It softens reaction and sharpens resolve. It helps you lead with both strategy and soul. Never forget, storms are temporary. Vision is legacy. The leader's energy shift. Your greatest asset as a leader isn't knowledge, charisma, or even skill. It's energy. Energy is contagious. It affects every room you walk into, every conversation you hold, every decision you make. And when life gets stressful, your ability to shift your internal energy becomes your most powerful tool. Energy doesn't lie. People can feel your stress before you speak a word. They can sense your tension, your fatigue, your fear. That's why elite leaders make energy management a non-negotiable. It's not selfish, it's strategic. When your energy drops, so does your leadership capacity. You become short, scattered, and reactionary. But when your energy is centered, grounded in purpose, fueled by clarity, you create a field of calm that elevates everyone around you. Energy shift begins with self-awareness. What drains you? What restores you? What rituals raise your vibration? For some, it's movement. For others, it's silence, connection, nature, music, faith. The method doesn't matter. The mastery does. Leaders don't wait for energy, they generate it. They decide who they want to be before they walk into a stressful space. They frame their mindset, they choose their emotional frequency, and they guard their environment fiercely. Because energy isn't just internal, it's relational. Who you spend time with, what you consume, the spaces you inhabit, all shape the tone of your leadership. You don't have to be perfect, but you must be present. You must take ownership of the atmosphere you bring. Because in stressful seasons, more than your answers, people will remember your energy. Show up with faith. Show up with peace. Show up with intention. Shift your energy, and you shift your impact. The crisis that creates you stress isn't your enemy. It's your training ground. It reveals your limits so you can grow beyond them. It doesn't show you what's wrong with you. It shows you what's ready to evolve. Every leader faces storms. The question is never, will it be hard? The question is, who will I become through this? This isn't just about leadership, it's about legacy. The way you respond in stressful seasons teaches everyone around you how to respond to their own. Your presence becomes their pattern. Your calm becomes their courage. Your growth becomes their permission. So breathe, anchor in, rise up. This is your moment. Let the stress refine you, not define you. You are more capable than you know. Lead on.